Did you think it was funny what I called the Zoom? Which, well, I said Whistling Dixie, but I also said the bridge over Kwai Me by Your Name.
Yeah, that was good. I got a
Thanks.
little chuckle out of that. Yeah,
Yeah, Danielle also
I enjoyed that.
kind of, she only like half traveled. When I said Kwai Me by Your Name, she said, that's silly. Blank face.
Damn. That's tough. The classic. Oh, that's hilarious. That's so funny. That's literally so funny.
One, two, three, four.
These boys only want the best of. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that pops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners.
Yum, yum.
Oscar Wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners,
Ooh.
the only show on the internet where Hollywood's biggest knight thinks you should commit seppuku because you're like a really shitty, I mean, guy, but also general. I don't know what Saito is, but is he a lieutenant? Probably a general or
He is a
commander,
colonel. He's a colonel.
colonel.
Imagine getting a call from your boss saying if you don't hit this deadline, you're gonna have to kill yourself.
Yeah,
That's kind of our policy about that shit.
yeah.
If you don't get this memo out the door by EOD, you better seppuku your ass. I better come in there and find your ass seppuku'd.
I'm uh lean cuisine.
Wow, okay. Nice to meet you. I'm NBA superstar and bridge enthusiast Kwai Leonard.
No, I'm Michael E. Xander. Uh,
Yep.
this is a podcast where we could pick a best picture winner at random and try to figure out if it's best picture worthy. And this week we're talking about David Lean's 1958 Best Picture Wiener, The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Why?
Um, a big old longy, we'll call it.
It is a longie. How long is it?
It is 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yes, yes, yes. That seems right.
They do fly by though. You might disagree.
A little bit, yeah.
Um, and it's a story of very simply, it takes place in Burma in this POW camp in Burma, occupied by the Japanese during World War II, and it's about mostly British soldiers who are kept there, and sort of the battle of wits
Mm,
that occurs between Colonel Saito, the Japanese colonel played by I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Excuse me, Sesue Hayakawa,
nice.
and Colonel Nicholson of the British commander, played by Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Oh, that's why he looks familiar.
So that's one. That's like one story. There's like two stories. That's one story, and then another story is William Holden is an American soldier who's imprisoned there, and then he escapes, finds his way back to I think the British, and then his story is like the British being like, "Cool, so you know like where all that stuff is. Can you actually come back with us? We want to blow up that fucking bridge
Yeah.
that the British are building
Yeah.
for the Japanese."
Yeah, they blackmail the shit out of him. They're like, hey, by the fucking crazy, I don't know what his gambit is. He wants to blow up the bridge so badly. Warden is his name, I think. He's like, hey, we would really love you to. I know you just got back. I know you just escaped the prison, but we'd love for you to come back with us so we could blow this bridge. And he's like,
I'd really rather not, Captain. And he's like, that's too bad because it actually turns out the American army was pretty pissed that you fled unannounced, and they might have you on charges.
Well,
So
actually, I think what they he blackmails him with is like you were impersonating a higher rank,
that's what it was. Yes,
and
which is
The Americans are kind of pissed about that, and you might be court-martialed if you don't agree to do this.
yeah. Which I don't know how the legality of this works, but I guess they just did a trade. The British Army and the American Army. They're like,
Yeah.
we'll take him. Like,
I
don't
would
court martial him. We'll have this guy.
listen. I've never been in the military.
Not
I
yet.
don't know if it shows in my character,
A
but
little.
I just feel like I would love to believe that the at least the American military would have enough empathy for its soldiers to be like, oh, you impersonated a higher rank like during like just to like get like just so you could like shag a few women and like get a few extra drinks and like I don't know, just like have a little bit more authority
Are
like
you
in the prison camp. I think
serious?
they'd be like, that's fine. It's we're in war. It doesn't matter.
What? No way, dude. He impersonated a fucking officer to get special treatment. That's fucked up.
So what?
So
He
what?
was in a prison camp.
Yeah, but all his other fellow soldiers, guess what? They had to get the fucking shit treatment. And
Guess
he's
what?
like, actually,
They should have impersonated a higher rank.
they can all be officers. It doesn't make any sense
Just call
hierarchically.
yourself a general who's
Hierarchically,
gonna. They don't have computers. They can double check that shit. Doesn't
that is
matter.
true. He's got to like write a. You can't just say you're the general. You could just say you could say you're whoever. You can say they're president of the fucking
You can
United
say I'm
States. They have
Yeah,
to check.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll still at least you'll get at least 2 weeks of preferential treatment while a letter comes back. A carrier dove comes back with a letter saying this man's an imposter.
Yeah. So
Um,
those are kind of the two storylines. William Holden, kind of like man on a mission with these other guys, sort of an international group of guys. He's the American. There's Warden, who's British. I think there's a Canadian guy.
yeah,
There's
they
like
got
another British guy, I think, but he dies pretty early on, so it
he's,
doesn't
that
matter.
whole mission sucks. I
Yeah.
mean, we could get into it, but the bridge has got to be the biggest MacGuffin of all time. Like everybody wants it or wants to do something to it for different reasons, and it truly feels irrelevant.
Oh, really?
100%. Like, what does the bridge mean? What's the significance of the bridge?
Well, I guess it is a MacGuffin, but a good MacGuffin, it means something to the characters, even if it ultimately doesn't mean that much, like stakes wise, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, the British want to blow up this bridge because it's like, then the Japanese can kind of like transfer stuff like supplies and soldiers more easily around Burma. But like,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it would like really affect the turnout of like future battles or whatever. Like it's pretty small potatoes. But for the characters, like for Colonel Nicholson, Alec Guinness,
yeah.
he's like I lo- I love this. This movie is perfect, amazing, owns so hard.
Okay.
I think it rules.
I'm checking in my notes anywhere where it says or I give a compliment to this movie, and I really just have nothing.
We'll get back to the MacGuffin bridge. We'll have to talk about the bridge,
I
obviously.
feel like
It's the bridge over.
we got to take 2.5 steps back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's
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 start.
let's
Let's start. We'll start. Apologies, we got a little big for our britches for a moment,
yeah.
but
We got a little bridge
but
for our bridges.
we got a little too bridge for our bridges for sure.
The
Um,
movie starts. You press play.
no way. Yeah, you got.
Um, British, all these like hundreds of like however many British soldiers are coming in, led by Nicholson, Colonel Nicholson. They're whistling, classic,
I
iconic
like the whistling. I like the
film
whistling.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, iconic moment.
And then basically for the next hour, it's sort of like I said, a battle of wits between Nicholson and Saito. Because Saito wants all these British soldiers to work on this bridge that the Japanese, that Saito's boss has been told he
Yeah.
needs to finish, like you said, like by like June or whatever.
Yeah.
They have like 3 months. So Saito's like, all right, British soldiers, build this bridge for me, including the officers. And Nicholson's like, I actually have the Magna Carta. Is it the Magna Carta?
No.
What the
The
fuck is
Geneva
it?
Conventions.
Geneva Convention. He has it in his pocket because he's a nerd. And he's like, it says like during war, officers can't be made to work alongside like regular like servicemen or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they serve supervisorial roles. And Saito's like, go fuck yourself. You're gonna work. And he's like, I'm not though. And neither are the
Yeah.
8 other officers. And he's like, okay, so I'm gonna put you guys in like this sweat box, and you're gonna stay in there for a month.
Yeah. And he's like, that violates the. It's basically a little tete-a-tete. Like Colonel Nicholson keeps throwing the Geneva Conventions in his face. It's like, do you want to? How prepared are you, Colonel Saito, to commit war crimes?
Yeah.
Because I think you know as well as I know, this war is probably on the outs. We're building this bridge probably for no reason. How badly do you want a world court to come together and get your ass?
Yeah, totally. And that's the first hour of the movie. It's a long time that it's like the back and forth where like
Yeah, they drag that thing out.
see I loved all of it though. I was so engaged.
What I will say is engaging is, when they have Colonel Nicholson in that sweatbox, he shows a lot of tenacity, a lot of poise, and like he doesn't break at all. Like Colonel Saito brings him out of the sweatbox at one point and prepares this beautiful dinner for him with steak and wine. And he's like, listen, he tries to play good cop basically. He's like, listen, just work on my bridge, please. Please. I'm gonna have to kill myself. You don't understand. Just build the bridge, please. And he's like, well, according to the Geneva Conventions, officers aren't supposed to work on the bridge. I don't care how much steak you feed me. And then they just throw him back into the
And
sweatbox.
and there's this great line where Saito's like he's not getting anywhere with Nicholson. I think it's during that scene. He's like, Nicholson, what would you do if you were in my position and you needed to finish this fucking bridge or else you'd die? Like you'd
Yeah.
have to kill yourself. And then Nicholson's like, well, I guess then I would just kill myself. And I'm like, wow. Fucking got his ass.
Bars for sure. And the man is disheveled. He's sweaty. He's just like, he needs help to get into the cabin in the first place. He's got a limp. Like, the man's in rough shape,
Yeah.
but he still has the mental faculties to dunk on Saito's ass. Everybody's dunking on Saito in this movie.
It's so funny because maybe like the first maybe half an hour, you're like, Saito, this guy's kind of scary. Like he's kind of
Yeah.
ruthless. He's willing to do anything. He's unflappable. But then why this movie's so good is sort of like Saito kind of as Nicholson gets one over on him and eventually like Saito allows Nicholson and his other officers out of, the sweat boxes that they're in or whatever. And it's like, okay, I agree to your terms. You can just supervise the other guys. You don't have to work. There's like a transfer of villain power where like Saito kind of recedes to the background. And
Yeah.
then Nicholson kind of becomes the villain of the movie because he's so determined to finish this bridge and prove to the Japanese that British soldiers are stronger and more capable than Japanese soldiers.
But I guess I just don't get it. I mean, I feel like we should address that there is a meeting between Colonel Nicholson and the fake Commander Shears, who is the American, who I think is the only American at this camp. It seems
I
like
think so.
it's just him. Um, they sort of have a meeting of the minds when Nicholson first arrives to the camp, um, kind of just laying out, basic orders for him and his officers. Make sure that our soldiers see that it's us who are in charge. They're taking commands from us and not from the Japanese. And then Commander Shears is like, all right, what about escaping? And they're like, the fuck? Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this this Yankee. He's like, no, we're not escaping. We're fucking British and we're gonna stay put and we're gonna just bide our time. And then Shears is like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
He's like,
See
I've
you
been waiting
losers
for like a
later.
bunch of guys to come who seem capable, and I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be used guys, but I guess I'm just taking whoever I got. We're just gonna bust out.
It's so funny to me. So David Lean is British. It's so
Yeah.
funny to me that I mean, I think this movie's based on like a novel, so it's not like he's necessarily generating like original material. But it's so funny to me that a British guy directed a movie about how British officers and British military officers are like so like proper and like dignified that it ultimately leads to their downfall, and it's sort of like the improvisational and like sort of like individualistic nature of like an
Mm.
American soldier who helps destroy the bridge that the proper British soldiers are building. Like I think it's just like really interesting.
Guerrilla warfare, baby.
Yeah,
American
exactly.
Revolution, undefeated. What's up? I do think it's a tale of two philosophies that are diametrically opposed. Like the British, I feel like do end up looking at least resolute in their business. I think Colonel Nicholson's argument is that let's build this bridge on purpose, even the Japanese want us to do it, but let's do it fucking in a sick way. Like we're gonna build this bridge so goddamn good that we're gonna prove to everybody how good the British Army is. Which I understand, but also at the same time, if this bridge is so important, you're still building a bridge for your enemy.
That's what's so interesting about it though, because like I do kind of understand what Nicholson is saying. He's also like, so before when Nicholson's like, in the sweatbox with the other officers, whatever, the British soldiers who are working on the bridge are like doing an intentionally shitty job because
Yeah,
they're
they're
like,
just
we're not gonna build this. They build shit shitty, so then like towers fall down. They're like, oh man, that
every time
sucks.
Colonel Saito comes to check on the work site, it's just like a giant structure just falls. It is pretty funny.
Yeah. And then when Nicholson joins, he's like, no, we have to. He's like, this bridge is being built in the wrong place,
Yeah.
and like, and so his reasoning is like, this will also boost morale for the boys
Yeah, give him
to
something to
like,
do.
yeah, give them something to do, give them something to like focus on, so they're not thinking about how they're imprisoned.
Which I understood.
It makes
But then
sense.
yeah. But I almost thought that maybe there was one last trick or ace up his sleeve where at the end he's the one who detonates the bridge. I thought that would have been a
Well,
very
he is
satisfying
technically.
twist. Uh, that is true. Yes,
I think he
his
either gets. I think he
carcass falls on
gets
it
stabbed by William Holden, and then he falls on the trigger.
in a truly hilarious cartoonish scene.
Oh, see, but I loved it though, because I'm like, this is exactly what this movie should do. Like, this is where this movie needed to end. Is like him blowing it, because it's like he got so obsessed with like finishing it.
It just felt like a lot of guys vying for things that they didn't really care about, and then everyone dies as a result of it.
Isn't that war?
Yes, but I think the execution is a little messy and also unintentionally funny. Like the relationship between Saito and Nicholson is very buddy comedy. It's a lot like he's one angry Japanese colonel. Get to work. And he's one stubborn British officer. This summer, I feel like it's that cadence.
There is like funny, like kind of some lighthearted stuff in like the prison camp bridge sections of the movie, but it is funny once like after like the first hour. So in the first hour, William Holden, what's his character's name? Shears, like once he like escapes in the first hour, but it's really like he's on screen for like a couple minutes. He's not even in the movie that much in the first hour.
Disappears for a large swath of the film.
And then it's funny though when he is found by the British and then like gets involved in the mission, it kind of becomes like kind of lighthearted romp because he's like, I really don't want to go back.
Yeah.
He's like, I got all these pretty ladies I want to kiss.
He's got a girlfriend. He's on the beach. He's just living life.
Yeah. The juxtaposition of like sort of war camp and like kind of like fun, exciting man on a mission section. See, I could see it seems like you were a little bit like the tone here is sort of off, but I was like so into it, but I could see how like somebody would be like, "Oh, I thought this was like supposed to be kind of serious."
I think it's a huge tonal mismatch.
Got it.
Um, yes, the obscurity of their objective is in part what war is about. Um, it makes me think of the Thin Red Line. All my where are all my thin red liners at? This one's for you. Uh,
I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I'm one of my favorite movies.
I think a very similar message and much better execution. I think the tone of that movie fits so much better with the message of what war is, what it means to be at war, the way that nobody really knows what's going on or why certain things are important. It just felt like it felt so much more in place in that movie than in this movie. And I get that this is a precursor to that by a few decades, but I just don't think it fit.
Bridge on the River Kwai and Thin Red Line are both movies about like being sort of a ground level soldier, and there's like sort of this like bureaucracy happening like off screen, and you're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
being pointed in a direction, like just do this.
Yeah.
Um, you were kind of getting back to the bridge as MacGuffin. I think, and like I was saying, like it means a good MacGuffin means something to characters, even if the MacGuffin itself doesn't have any meaning. A good
I will
MacGuffin.
say every character has, it is unique that every character has their own reason for being obsessed with this bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But I think Nicholson in particular, I think he kind of like his once the bridge is finished, there's this amazing scene where Nicholson is just walking on the bridge by himself. He's like leaning over the railing, just like looking out on the water over the River Kwai.
Right.
And he has this amazing, like, I guess it's a monologue where like Saito is behind him. It's just them two. And he starts talking about like, I've been in the military, like so Nicholson's like, I've been in the military for like 25 years. And a lot of the time, like, I wonder a lot of the time, like, everything I've done has seemed so small and so kind of inconsequential. And it's like I wonder if I've made a difference ever at all, and like what does the sum total of my life mean? Does it mean anything? Have I changed the course of history? Whatever. He's like, but
No.
this bridge has made me feel like I've actually done something. And you're like, you are so deluded,
Okay.
Nicholson.
I'm happy that that's your conclusion because I
But
agree. Yeah.
but I love that he thinks the opposite of like obviously
Okay.
the audience is like this guy's like gone off the deep end. Like, is he losing his mind? Like, why does he think this is good that he did? I mean, it's a beautiful bridge. They did a great job, but it's like
Yeah. It
for
looks
what?
fantastic. Yeah.
For
I don't
what?
know. I don't know how they did it. It looks fucking great.
Yeah.
Um,
But like I love that he's like, yeah, this is like this has given my whole military career meaning to build this bridge for the Japanese. And you're like,
insane.
dude, what are you talking about?
This is like if your biggest bully forced you to make a Jenga tower and you make the world's biggest Jenga tower, and then some fucking schmuck comes over and kicks it over. And it's like, why did you do that? And he's like, I don't know. I was just kicking for some reason.
He's like, I didn't know you cared about that. Was it like a
Yeah.
guy forcing you to do it?
Yeah. Um, which is, it is like the emotional crux of this movie is pretty hilarious. It's pretty funny, I think. Right? Like I'm the whole time because I'm familiar with the bridge destruction scene. I'm kind of waiting on it. I'm
Very
sitting on it,
iconic.
waiting for it to come. I thought it was going to be way more impactful than it was. It ended up just being very silly because you have the fucking brigade of those four goons who are just trying to blow up this bridge by any means necessary. Um, Warden, who's obsessed with this is his brainchild. He's like, we have to destroy this bridge. And then Commander Shears is like, why? And he's like, because we just fucking gotta do it. What's your problem, dude? I'll blackmail your ass. So they're just parading through the woods. Their other friend, that old ass man, gets stuck in a tree and he's dead.
Yeah.
At one point, they're like, we're gonna parachute into this fucking jungle. And then Commander Shears is like, I don't know how to do
It's
that.
like
They're
I'm
like,
not
all right.
parrot. I've never jumped out of a plane.
They're like, we're gonna fucking figure it out, I guess.
But then they say they're like the like one of the guys. Maybe it's Warden or maybe it's like the guy above him, like his superior is like, yeah, let's see if we can get you some practice runs at the the airport. And like
Yeah.
then he comes back. He's like, yeah, we talked to them. You said by the time like you have to do the mission like tomorrow. By the time you be able to get like one or two jumps. So they're like, it's kind of not worth it. You should just go for it.
Insane. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, Warden's vendetta against this bridge is so intense, but also like he has no backing from anybody in any army. Like, it's so personal to him. But when he's asked to elaborate on it, we have nothing. There's no reason. Like, we get none of his philosophy. He's just kind of this mysterious figure who just says we got to blow up this bridge, and then
But no, to me, what's so interesting about Warden, and it's just like really elegant, like story construction, screenwriting is like then Shears is mapping onto Warden his feelings that he had while he was in the prison camp for Nicholson, where he's like, you're like obsessed with this mission and just kind of blindly doing stuff because you feel like because you're like the ultimate military man, but like why are you doing this though? Like you're risking your
Mhm.
life for what? Um and like yeah, Warden has this like very single-minded like we have to blow the bridge. Like he hurts like he gets shot in the foot at one point. He's like we have to keep
Yeah.
going. And he's like what is your deal? It's like it doesn't matter.
But I didn't want that emotional conflict to boil between Warden and Shears. I wanted it to come between Shears and Nicholson. And by the time they finally reconvene, Nicholson just sees him about to blow up the bridge. He's like, why the fuck are you doing this? And he's like, some guy made me. And that's their whole big interaction. It just feels so flat to me. Like theirs were the two philosophies that the film were exploring, and then their their ultimate meeting at the end is just nothing, basically.
Agree to disagree.
All right. I also think the scene where Nicholson finally figures out that they're going to detonate the bridge and he's just following the tripwire,
Pulling up the tripwire.
straight Looney Tunes bullshit. Just like
It is really funny.
and he's going, Colonel Saito, come here. You're going to want to take a look at this, as if they're like comrades.
Except, but that's what's so good about it. He like thinks he's like the buddy with Saito. It's like, no, this man is your warden. Like
Yeah,
he's like the prison guard.
he's leading the camp that imprisoned your soldiers. He's leading the army that killed your soldiers.
Yeah.
So I guess I wonder if his disillusionment, if Nicholson's disillusionment, was he always like this, or did it just gradually happen over the course of the film?
My read on it is like he's like this guy obsessed with like perpetuating, you know, the story of how good the British army is, how they're better than any other army in the world.
Yeah,
That's like where he starts. That's probably where he started when got in the military or whatever. But it's like war distorts it so that like he projects it into the wrong place where he's like, oh, let's build this bridge really good for the enemy. And it's like, but this doesn't make any sense. And
yeah,
it's like being in war has distorted his own ideology or weaponized his ideology against himself.
okay.
Yeah. 5 stars?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Do you have anything else to say about this movie? Do you have any final thoughts?
I don't think it looked very good.
What?
uh, no, I shouldn't say that. It looked fine.
The whole time I was thinking, I was like, this movie was shot like I don't know where it was shot, but probably in like some, in the jungle, and like they probably did not have a fun time making this movie.
They definitely did not have a fun time making. They definitely shot on site. Um, I just thought there was nothing that really grabbed me and brought me in, as far as visuals, as far as score, as far as content. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I
What
think
are you
this
gonna do?
movie rocks. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Um, all right. We'll revisit our boy Lean kind of soon because he directed Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, how long is that?
I think it's like 3 hours and 50 minutes.
Woo! Spicy. Okay.
Yeah.
I could cross the desert in that amount of time.
All right. Would you like to hear the other nominees for the year of 1958?
You betcha.
So first up, we have Peyton Place.
Peyton Manning?
Ever been?
Nope.
Directed by Mark Robson. In the outwardly
Okay.
respectable New England community of Peyton Place, shopkeeper Constance Mackenzie tries to make up for a past indiscretion, which resulted in her illegitimate daughter Allison, by adopting a chaste, prudish
Huh?
attitude towards all things sexual. In spite of herself, Constance can't help but be attracted to handsome new teacher Michael Rossi.
Oh,
Meanwhile, the restless Allison, Constance's daughter, her illegitimate daughter, who'd like to be as footloose and fancy free as the town's fast girl, Betty Anderson,
okay. This
falls
is a 50s
sincerely in
movie.
love with mixed up mama's boy, Norman Page.
Mixed up mama's boy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a movie, and also the book, it's like, my understanding is like, it was one of the first books where it was like, can you believe they're talking about people like having sex out of wedlock and like having illegitimate child like children? And it's like people are like
Incredible.
scandalized.
That's groundbreaking.
All right. Next up, we have Sayonara
Bye bye.
with Marlon Brando,
Oh,
directed by Joshua Logan. Air Force Major Lloyd Groover, Marlon Brando,
nice.
is reassigned to a Japanese air base and is confronted with U.S. racial prejudice against the Japanese people. The issue is compounded
He's
because
confronted with it?
that's what I'm confused by. I'm like, so he's prejudiced against Japanese people, or they're prejudiced against him because he's a white guy? I don't know. Sounds dicey.
It sounded to me like he was confronted by prejudice against Japanese people by his own
That's right. I'm rereading it. I think that's right.
army.
He's like surprised
Okay,
people are like racist against the Japanese, like
got it.
the American soldiers. The issue is compounded because a number of the soldiers become romantically involved with Japanese women, in defiance of U.S. military policy. Ordinarily, an officer who is by the book, Groover must take a position when a buddy of his, an enlisted man, Joe Kelly, played by Red Buttons, falls in love with a Japanese woman,
Nice.
Katsumi,
Okay.
and marries her. Groover risks his position by serving as best man at the wedding ceremony.
That's a homie.
Yeah.
That's a bud. That's a pal.
The first review, the most popular review on Letterboxd, up at the top is so dot 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 racist.
Okay. Interesting.
Next up, you've definitely heard of this one. It is
Try
Sidney
me.
Lumet's iconic, classic, eternal film, 12 Angry Men.
Oh, I have seen this.
I think I've seen it too. I feel like I watched it in like middle school or something.
I did watch it in middle school, yes.
I've been meaning to rewatch it because I don't really remember anything about it except a bunch of guys are in a room talking about a case, like jurors.
Yeah. I remember I did enjoy the book, or I think a play. Was it a
I think it's a
play?
play.
I did enjoy that. And the film I thought was fine. I don't know. I was 13.
You were too busy thinking about like Fruit Ninja or something. That's what you were thinking
Oh
about.
yeah, I was probably thinking. No, Fruit Ninja, not yet. I was probably thinking about like Doodle Jump.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The defense and the prosecution have rested, and the jury is filing into the jury room to decide if a young Spanish American is guilty or innocent of murdering his father. What begins as an open and shut case soon becomes a mini drama of each of the jurors' prejudices and preconceptions about the trial, the accused, and each other.
I do love the idea of one, like, I think this it's impossible for this movie not to cross your mind if you're picked for jury duty.
Totally. You're
There's
like
something
it's going to be
so
exactly like that.
this made it glamorous to be the odd one out, to be the one person who would stand on a not guilty.
Totally.
And I think that would be me. I would see that the murderer go free. Everybody's like, there's like so much evidence, like we know he did it. It's like,
He
no,
literally confessed.
no, we should hear him out though. I think he's gotten a bad rap.
Like
He just killed a guy in the courtroom just now. We all saw it.
he killed the bailiff.
He killed the bailiff. How'd you
I
miss that?
it is like interesting. I mean, it's kind of goofy to say because like this is probably literally what the movie is about, and as you're saying, kind of like spawned conversation about is like how much like groupthink and like sort of like what the group will feel about what you're gonna say, like changes the what you say, like changes
Right.
like even if it's not authentic to yourself, you're like, oh, I'll just like lie so I can get out of here and get back to work or like whatever. So like nobody's like mad at me, and it's like, but this is like a guy's life on the line, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it definitely, and that's an important message. I do
Yeah.
think it probably really resonated during this time when groupthink was probably so commonplace, and now it
Totally
still
didn't
is.
even think
But
about that.
also, there's like I'll say over toxic individualization where there's always some guy who's got a fucking lone wolf and have a terrible opinion just because, oh, you're raising your hand
Can I play
in an
devil's
audio
advocate
medium.
for a second?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It's so true though. I didn't even think about like the historical context of like, yeah, this is like I feel like late 50s peak Red Scare,
Yeah,
just like everybody being like, okay, we have to weed out the other element, that anybody who's dissenting or whatever. That's yeah.
anyway, bad movie.
Well, like your man,
Sucks.
1 star. And finally, we have a Billy Wilder joint.
Wow.
He's
Our old
back.
friend. Really, it feels like he's our friend at this
Yeah,
point.
he's one of the top guys who always gets nominated.
Yeah.
It is another movie I've definitely heard of. I kind of know nothing about though, but it's called Witness for the Prosecution.
Another trial film?
Yeah. And it's about an ailing, famous barrister who agrees to defend a man in a sensational murder trial where his self-possessed wife's.
I'm sorry. Barrister?
Yeah.
What is it?
Let me Google that. I just assume like lawyer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like he's past the
Yeah.
bar.
It says a lawyer entitled to practice as an advocate, particularly in the higher courts. Whatever.
If they define things
Lawyer.
as well as they build bridges, that's a
Got
good
him.
enough definition for me.
So an ailing, famous
Compliment.
barrister agrees to defend a man in a sensational murder trial where his self-possessed wife's unconvincing testimony confuses him.
I'm also
Him being the
confused.
barrister, I assume.
I
There's two
guess.
men, and I don't know which one they're talking about.
Right. And there's a wife.
I don't know. It's probably pretty
That's
good. Billy
that's the whole
Wilder's good.
synopsis.
Yeah,
I'll probably never watch that.
I probably will never see it either. All right, so those are the nominees. Ander,
So
do you think The Bridge on the
mhm.
River Kwai is Best Picture worthy?
Maybe it's just lost on me. I don't really quite get it. I think there's some tonal mismatches going on between the overall the behavior the message I feel like doesn't quite align. But I don't know what else to do at this point. I don't know who to give it to. I guess I'll give it to 12 Angry Men.
You don't want to give it to Sayonara?
I don't know what it's about. I don't know what's going on, and it might be racist. So no, pending
No.
further review. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, 12 Angry Men, I feel like, in terms of legacy, arguably, like, has an even stronger legacy than Bridge on the River Kwai.
I think about 12 Angry Men every so often, maybe like once a year. I don't know.
But you think about Bridge on the River Kwai 3 times a month, I think.
I've never thought about Bridge on River Kwai until seeing it. So
Got it.
we'll see. We'll see if I think about it going forward. But
I don't know. I think this movie's Best Picture worthy. I think this movie is amazing.
okay,
I love it so much.
that's all well and good.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna be upfront with you. I'm gonna drop the facade. I got some reviews. These reviews kind of stink. I don't like what anybody had to say about this movie.
Now, you
I'm
don't
gonna
like
read you
what anybody
some.
had to say about it because it didn't align with what you think about it, or it was just a review.
Yes, yes. Basically, a lot of people like this movie for some reason. I don't really understand why. So
Because
I'm
it's
pissed.
good.
Anyway, give me the name of somebody who's building a bridge and maybe has plans to take it down later.
London Tipton.
Well, she says 2 stars for this film.
Oh,
2.5 hours of men obsessed with building a bridge, and somehow that's the plot? The bridge? Good. The pacing? Slower than the construction of the bridge itself. I mean, I came for a war epic, but instead, I got a movie about a bridge construction that even Bob the Builder would find dull. And Bob the Builder is notorious for enjoying building. I don't know if you're aware of that
yeah,
reference.
I heard that.
Give me the name of somebody who's pissed.
It's gotta be Tilbert Philbin.
Dilbert Philpin says 1/2 star. Gorilla shit is the whole review.
Now, is that spelled with the U or it's Orilla?
I think that's an interesting point. It's spelled Orilla.
So they don't know how to spell guerrilla warfare. Got
No,
it.
I think they're saying gorilla shit like the monkey,
But
but
meaning
also
what?
technically gorilla shit. Huh?
Are we okay?
No. Give me the name of somebody. I'm gonna skew positive because I don't want to overload on negative. So give me the name of somebody who's just in a real good mood.
Baron von Trump.
Baron von Trump, who I'm sure woke up glowing this morning, says 5 stars. Japanese man commits Sudoku because white people are too good at building infrastructure. 5 stars.
That is basically a summation of the movie.
uh, Last review I'll read. Give me the name. This is a 1 star review. So give me the name of somebody who's off on holiday and just having a miserable time for whatever reason.
Yogurt,
Yeah.
Ivanovis,
Oh.
Squelch. Thanks, man.
Unbelievable. Yogurt Ivanovis Squelch, the esteemed, says 1 star. Simply put, just watch Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence instead.
Didn't you watch that recently?
I watched it very recently, which is why that review caught my eye. I
And
guess somewhat similar.
Yeah.
They do both take place like at a Japanese camp. And I think, there are British soldiers there. David Bowie is a British soldier.
Yeah.
Very different movies, though. I liked Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence better. I also thought it was a little bit off the walls and a little bit like, huh? But I think it did some more interesting things. The music is obviously great. Ryuichi Sakamoto, our friend from,
I thought he did the music.
yeah, our buddy from Last Emperor.
Is he in it too?
He's also in it, yeah. And I gotta say, not great in it, but
Got it.
also he's he's speaking English.
Oh, okay.
He speaks English very well, but like it's not his first language, and you can tell like maybe acting in it is not quite his
Right.
forte. But listen, I gotta give it to him. He said, I'll create a banger for this, but I'm gonna be in the movie. And David Bowie said, "You're a star, man, in my goddamn film."
Beautiful.
Nice. Thanks, dude.
Thank you for those reviews. I think I gotta pull the band-aid.
Okay.
And we gotta talk next week. We gotta pay our buddy Clint another visit.
Oh,
And
okay.
we gotta talk $1 Million Baby.
Baby. Okay. Okay, baby.
A movie
Show
I've
me what you got.
never seen. I've seen parts of like so much on like TNT.
This is a classic TNT movie.
Yeah.
I've also never seen it though.
I know it's really sad.
Oh, I didn't see. I have no idea. I don't really know what to expect.
What are you gonna do?
Joy
That's-
persists.
That's the job that we've tasked ourselves with.
That's right. That is our job.
Um, but until next time, what?
No, go ahead. I got one. You want me to toss me the rock?
Yeah, go for it. You've never done this before.
Let's say you're building a bridge
Yeah,
and you've run out of lumber, perhaps.
I
You
know. Yeah,
you take a stack of dogs and you just layer them on top of each other so that they bridge the gap over the river Kwai.
like Lincoln Logs.
Like Lincoln Logs, exactly right. Perfect image. And then you just drench the thing in some mustard. Just, I'm talking no walking, slippery when wet. Just really slick that thing up. So whatever train decides to cross, you better believe it's not going to be successful. It's a bridge of wieners. That's not structurally integral.
Uh,
It's going to fall in a second. But in the rubble, you can always have a bit of a munch.
Beautiful. I was like, wait, is there gonna be a way we can
No.
eat this bridge?
Yeah, you get to eat the
Perfect.
bridge.
You landed the
Yeah.
plane.
Yeah.
See you next week, Wieners.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners.
And I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks, bud.
Who's the Saito and who's the Nicholson?
Dude. I think you're fucking Warden. No, you're the old man who who dies getting stuck in the tree. Who I don't even think has a name. And I'm Commander Shears, just chilling on the beach with
Wow.
some babe. Yeah,
God,
and a mojito.
Got it.